Welcome to Real Life Stories. I hope today's story will make you think. It will be short but intense. Let's get to it. Dr. Maya Thompson, a renowned trauma surgeon and one of the youngest experts in her field, was finally allowing herself a moment of rest. At 37 years old, Maya had achieved remarkable success at the prestigious New York Presbyterian Hospital, where her skill and dedication had saved countless lives. She boarded a first-class flight from New York to Miami, seeking a brief escape from the relentless demands of her profession. Dressed in a crisp white blouse, her presence exuded a quiet confidence that belied the weight of her responsibilities. For the first time in months, she felt a glimmer of relief as she settled into her seat, her dark skin glowing under the soft cabin lights. This trip, a rare indulgence, was a chance to unwind after years of intense work. Little did she know, this flight would challenge her resilience and leave an unforgettable impact on everyone aboard. Follow this inspiring story and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so we can share more meaningful stories like this. We would love to know where you are watching from, so please let us know. Dr. Maya Thompson's journey to success was anything but easy. Growing up in a modest neighborhood in Harlem, she was the daughter of a dedicated schoolteacher and a compassionate nurse. From a young age, Maya witnessed the sacrifices her parents made to provide for her and her siblings, instilling in her a strong work ethic and an unshakable determination to rise above her circumstances. However, as a Black woman aspiring to thrive in medicine, a field largely dominated by white men, Maya encountered countless barriers. Throughout her education, she faced subtle but persistent microaggressions, skeptical remarks, and outright prejudice. Her achievements were often doubted, and she had to constantly prove her worth in ways her peers did not. Yet, Maya never allowed these challenges to deter her. Driven by her passion for healing and her unwavering resolve, she earned a scholarship to Stanford University, where she graduated with honors before moving on to Harvard Medical School. The path to becoming a trauma surgeon demanded sleepless nights, rigorous training, and immense personal sacrifice. While her colleagues often questioned her abilities, Maya let her skill and precision in the operating room speak for themselves. Over time, her expertise and dedication earned her a reputation as one of the best trauma surgeons in the country. Despite her success, Maya remained grounded, carrying the lessons of her past and using her platform to inspire others facing similar struggles. Her journey was a testament to resilience, talent, and the power of perseverance. As Dr. Maya Thompson settled into her first-class seat, relishing the rare opportunity for relaxation, she noticed a middle-aged man struggling with an oversized carry-on bag in the aisle. His flushed face and grumbled curses drew her attention, and she instinctively offered to help. "Excuse me, would you like some help with that?" she asked kindly. The man barely glanced her way before snapping, "No, I've got it," as he continued to wrestle with the bag. Moments later, a flight attendant intervened, informing him the bag was too large for the overhead compartment and would need to be checked. Clearly irritated, he complied with a begrudging sigh before plopping heavily into the seat beside Maya. The man, who introduced himself as Travis Whitmore, the CEO of a construction company, began complaining about the state of first-class travel. His broad frame spilled over the armrest, and his booming voice carried a tone of entitlement. Maya offered a polite smile, hoping to diffuse the tension, but his attention soon turned to her. "And what do you do?" he asked with a raised brow, clearly skeptical of her presence in first class. "I'm a trauma surgeon," Maya replied calmly, meeting his gaze without hesitation. Travis blinked, momentarily caught off guard. "A surgeon, really?" he said, his tone laced with disbelief. "That's impressive for someone your age." Maya's jaw tightened. She was all too familiar with the condescension veiled behind such comments. "I've been practicing for nearly a decade," she responded, keeping her tone polite but firm. "I completed my residency at New York Presbyterian Hospital." Travis leaned back, still wearing a faint smirk. "Must be nice," he said with a hint of sarcasm. "A vacation in Miami? I remember. When I was starting out, I could barely afford a weekend at the beach." Maya resisted the urge to roll her eyes. "I've saved for this trip," she said evenly. "It's important to prioritize self-care in a high-stress profession." "Self-care," Travis repeated, his voice tinged with disdain. "That's what they're calling it these days, huh?" He chuckled to himself, clearly finding the concept amusing. Maya's patience was wearing thin. She had dealt with attitudes like his countless times before, but each encounter was just as exhausting as the last. Travis's dismissive tone and subtle jabs about her qualifications were all too familiar. She reminded herself that she had nothing to prove to him or anyone else. Yet, the weight of the moment lingered, a sharp reminder of the biases she faced even after achieving so much. Despite his dismissiveness, Maya chose not to escalate the conversation, instead shifting her focus to the fleeting joy of her trip. But Travis wasn't done. "So, Travis surgeon, huh?" he asked, feigning curiosity. "What kind of emergencies do you deal with?" "Car accidents, gunshot wounds, critical injuries," Maya replied curtly, hoping the conversation would end there. Travis raised an eyebrow. "That's a lot of responsibility," he said, his words carrying an edge of skepticism. "I suppose you've seen some pretty intense situations?" "I have," Maya said simply, refusing to elaborate further. Her tone left no room for debate, yet Travis seemed determined to challenge her, perhaps unwilling to reconcile his assumptions about her with the reality of her accomplishments. The interaction left Maya drained, her earlier excitement for the trip now dulled by the weight of his words. Still, she reminded herself of the strength that had brought her this far. Travis's doubts didn't define her, they never had. Maya resolved to let his opinions roll off her, knowing she had nothing to prove to a man who couldn't see beyond his own biases. What neither of them knew was that fate was about to intervene. Before the flight was over, Travis's assumptions about Maya would be shattered in the most unexpected way, leaving him to confront not only his prejudice, but also his understanding of what it truly meant to sit beside greatness. Midway through the flight, the calm cabin atmosphere was suddenly interrupted by a commotion near the front. A passenger had slumped over in his seat, clutching his chest and gasping for air. Dr. Maya Thompson, seated several rows back, didn't hesitate for a moment. Unbuckling her seatbelt, she stood and moved quickly down the aisle. "I'm a doctor," she called to the flight attendants, her voice steady and commanding. Reaching the man, Maya assessed him swiftly, her trained eyes recognizing the telltale signs of a heart attack. His pale face and labored breathing underscored the urgency of the situation. "I need the first aid kit," she instructed calmly. "If there's aspirin or nitroglycerin, bring it now." A nurse seated nearby stepped forward to assist, and together they worked to stabilize the passenger. Passengers watched in awe as Maya's expertise unfolded under pressure, turning panic into action. Within minutes, the man's breathing eased, and the cabin erupted into applause as Maya returned to her seat, her adrenaline still coursing. After witnessing Dr. Maya Thompson's remarkable professionalism during the in-flight medical emergency, Travis Whitmore sat in stunned silence. The confidence and precision with which she stabilized the passenger shattered his earlier assumptions about her. He shifted uncomfortably in his seat, glancing at Maya with a mixture of shock and regret. For the first time, he seemed to grasp the depth of her expertise and the weight of her accomplishments. His initial skepticism and dismissive attitude now felt deeply misplaced. Humbled, he avoided her gaze, his thoughts clearly racing. Travis had been forced to confront the biases that had clouded his judgment, leaving him with a newfound respect for Maya. After the flight landed, Travis Whitmore hesitated for a moment before turning to Dr. Maya Thompson. His voice, now quieter and devoid of its earlier arrogance, broke the silence. "Dr. Thompson," he began awkwardly, "I owe you an apology. I was wrong to judge you, and I'm sorry for how I acted." Maya met his gaze, her expression calm but firm. "It's not just about an apology, Mr. Whitmore," she replied. "It's about understanding why you made those assumptions in the first place." Her words struck a chord. Travis nodded slowly, a flicker of shame crossing his face. "You're right. he admitted, his tone sincere. "I have a lot to think about." Maya offered a small nod, her voice steady but resolute. "Biases like yours don't just impact me, they reinforce harmful perceptions for everyone who looks like me. Recognizing that is the first step toward change." Travis sat back, his expression thoughtful, clearly grappling with her words. As Maya stepped off the plane and into the humid Miami air, she felt a sense of resolution. While the encounter had been draining, she knew she had challenged him to rethink his prejudices, planting the seed for genuine growth. As Dr. Maya Thompson stepped off the plane into the warm, humid Miami air, she felt a surprising sense of lightness. The flight had been far from the relaxing escape she had envisioned, but the unexpected events had given her a different kind of fulfillment. Reflecting on her encounter with Travis Whitmore, she felt a mix of exhaustion and quiet pride. His apology, while a small gesture, signaled the beginning of a shift in perspective. Maya knew that changing ingrained prejudices wasn't something that happened overnight, but she also understood the power of moments like these to spark transformation. It wasn't just Travis who had been impacted. The entire cabin had witnessed the unfolding of her expertise and composure during the emergency. The initial judgment and skepticism she had felt upon boarding had been replaced with admiration and respect. She knew that her actions had challenged not only Travis's biases, but also those of the other passengers who had silently doubted her place in first class. As she walked through the bustling airport, Maya allowed herself a rare moment of pride. Her strength, resilience, and dedication had spoken louder than any words. She hadn't just saved a life, she had inspired others to rethink their assumptions, proving once again that actions have the power to create lasting change. The video closes with a powerful message to the audience. If this story resonated with you, let it be a reminder that fighting injustice starts with each of us. By challenging biases and standing up for equality, we can make a real difference in the world. If you believe in the power of change, subscribe to our channel and join our community of changemakers. Don't forget to like this video and share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters, and together, we can amplify it. Let's continue to shine a light on stories that inspire, challenge, and empower us all. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next story. It promises to be just as impactful.